How I made an X-Pro go 3 and 12 on 130 ping. So in this game I start red buff. The enemy Kai'Sa before this killed my support and will probably recall him by a longsword, right? So I'd rather path towards my Ignite Riven after that happens. As I'm finishing red buff, we can see Kindred doing her own red buff. So I know Rush will path from top to bot this game. What's also important to note here is that I am quicker than Rush to anything bot side, whether it's his blue buff or ganking bot lane, especially when he probably loses a few seconds making sure Riven doesn't cheese him or anything. So as I am finishing Raptors, what can you see on the minimap? Bot lane is fighting. They're not going to be on top of each other without losing HP unless they're pacifists. But because I know I'm quicker than Rush to this bot fight, I queue as soon as I can into the river knowing it will be back up by the time I want to gank bot. And I ping on my way. I'm not sure if Rush was ghosting here. He wasn't. But the enemy bot lane seemed to know what's up. Maybe they had something watered, I'm not sure. But we also see Kindred here running through mid lane. So I know Rush is running bot. This kind of speeds me up. I have to act quickly here. So I go around, I change my angle of attack and look to kill the rel. I know she has Hex Flash, so therefore she doesn't have Flash. If I went on Kai'Sa, who might have spells, this is such a waste. I miss out on getting a free 300 golden experience. So after this, I know Rush is pathing down here, and I know my bot lane is really vulnerable. They're very low, and they don't have summoner spells. So if I just recall and run to my top side, which is what I'd do in most games if my bot lane wasn't this vulnerable, bot lane might die. So I think about fighting Rush, but I mistime my Q, unfortunately. You could blame this on the 130 ping, but I know as soon as Rush is posturing near this brush, and he knows I'm in here, he will probably ward. So if I can E and then slow him, and then Q before he auto attacks me, he won't be able to see me. So my plan was to get into this tri-brush with a box. He will most likely face check me and I probably win that 1v1. And if the rel comes, I can always run towards even like Rush's blue buff, knowing Diana is dead. So this is just hard winning for me. But unfortunately, because he auto attacks me with red buff, he will be able to see my silhouette when I go in stealth. So I have to back out of this. Now after all this ends, if we look in the top right, it's 317. Now I know that the most important resource bot side of the map here is crab. And I also know that Rush does not have time to farm any of his bot camps because that would take him close to 20 seconds, and by the time he gets to crab, I would definitely have done this. It could also be the marked crab, so if I can contest this or take it, I definitely will. So my plan as Shaco is to set up a box near the crab, so if Rush ever runs through, I would hard win that 1v1. So I queue over this wall, and my stealth lasts long enough, please remember this if you play Shaco, to creep into this brush unseen, and guess what? There is Rush waiting for the crab. I put my box down in the middle of the brush because if I place it at the bottom of the brush, if the crab moves up, it will actually trigger the box, and obviously I would just lose that. I then ping for assistance after setting up my ambush, and Silas moves, and so does Leona. Now, no doubt some of you will be thinking here that this is team diff, and this doesn't happen in my elo. Maybe not, but I don't need them here to win this 1v1. This is just icing on the cake if they move. If you make plays that are predicated on your teammates moving and maybe landing spells, then yeah, you're not really self-sufficient, right? So stop trolling. So after we kill Rush, now what do I do? And try to pause the video when I ask these questions and try to figure it out for yourself. So if I recall, I lose the top crab, right? And against any jungler here, this is kind of troll, but especially against Kindred when it's the marked camp. But it's also important to ask, if I go for this, do I lose anything? So how does the future look? Does Kindred have any counterplay? She will see me running through mid towards this top crab, and she will also know that I have my whole top side up. I have 12 CS, I only have red buff, so I did my bot side and ganked bot. So after this top crab, I might farm my whole top side. So hang on. Maybe there is counterplay. If I spend time farming all of my top side, can you see the potential loss? The time in the game will be close to 4:30 if I do my whole top side, and I know Rush will run to his bot camps here. Just like me, he only has his blue buff quadrant. But because he will be bot side of the map, he might get encouraged to go for my respawning bot camps, and my Krugs and Raptors will respawn while I am doing my blue buff quadrant. So after crab, I do my blue and gromp, and then recall covering Rush's potential counterplay. Yes, we might have wards in the river, but can he still take my camps if I'm not there? Of course, the wards are just placebo. I have to physically be there. So I recall, and while I'm recalling, I ping Rush's bot side. And as I'm running out of base, I ping Rush's bot side again. Why? Because that's where he is. My job is to inform my teammates where the enemy jungler is at all times. And when I see this rel threatening to freeze the wave with Leona right next to her and Kalista nearby too, I know she's trying to bait for Kindred. So I ping again and outrush pops. Somehow my Leona escapes this, and unfortunately because I'm AP Shaco, I kind of need my support short CC to land boxes, so because Leona is too low to do anything, I just do my Krugs. Now while I'm doing Krugs, I see Rush path towards mid lane. I know he cleared his whole bot side because he is level 4 with blue buff, so the only resources he has available are his top camps, but he might also be interested in my Raptors. That's why I ping for assistance as soon as I think this. This isn't a I need my teammates ping, this is just letting anyone know who might be able to rotate that Kindred might be invading me. What happens because of this communication? The Silas drops a lovely little ward down, so I know Rush isn't here. So where is he? Dragon is a little ambitious for a level 4 Kindred, but he can probably do it. So I think of queuing over this wall to box inside the pit for vision, but Rush randomly appears. So he was no doubt thinking of invading my Raptors. So I box the end of the brush for vision so I can then E, and the box being between Kindred and myself keeps her at arm's length. I don't want to get auto attacked by Kindred. I then just wait for Rush's W to end and chase him out of my jungle. Now unfortunately my mid laner dies, but it happens. But what's more annoying is that I miss a kill on Rush here, and I knew this in game. How can I kill Kindred? Some of you might already know, but let's start by answering the question, what will Kindred be doing in the next 30 or so seconds? Well, we knew Rush's top camps were the only camps he could farm, right? So with my items, Ignite, and ambushing potential on the shack, if I ran straight to Rush's Krugs, I know I could kill him there, especially with Riven's Prio, but I do walls instead. A little underwhelming, but why not run to Grubs straight away? Because the time will be 6 minutes as I'm doing walls, so I'm kind of losing time on Grubs. Well, there's a very good chance a fight happens here, and walls give me what? Level 5. Good. And this matters. Even though I'm losing time on doing Grubs straight away, I'm increasing my chances of winning a potential fight. And I also think it's impossible for Kindred to take any of the Grubs before I get there after walls. And this happens to be the case. So I do the closest Grub, and someone on the enemy team hits this Scry Orb. This must be Kindred, right? So I don't really want to hang around with no box setup, especially against the Prio Diana. So I move towards my Riven, who is all inning the Mundo, and get a free kill. I help crash the wave, and it's quite unfortunate because we would have hard won a 3v3 with Riven R and Silas R against the very weak Kindred. So Rush's game would be completely over here if Riven didn't fight this Mundo. Because I can't run the risk of face checking the River Brush, I have to leave Grubs for now and the marked crab. So I go back to my Gromp. Now one move here that I might have missed is actually recalling. Now why on earth is that? That's because I know Kindred's bot camps will be up here, and I know there is no chance she invades my Gromp after doing crab and Grubs. She will definitely think I'm going to farm Gromp and walls and will no doubt recall for her own Gromp and walls. So I could meet her there. I could drive by my red buff for level 6 with sorcerer shoes and the 250 gold haste item, whatever it's called, and easily bully her off her bot camps, maybe even kill her. Now of course if her bot lane is out of base and nearby, I have to be a little bit careful. As a disgusting shaco player, I trust myself. Back to reality though. I'm thinking of doing my Gromp and then realize, hang on, Diana is back mid, and Riven is a lot quicker than Mundo here to the Grubs because she died first and has a lot of mobility. So if Kindred has taken time to do the marked crab, which she definitely will, no Kindred player wants to be on 0 marks, then we have enough time to hit her on Grubs. This is exactly what happens. Now I could make that same move here, recalling and running at Kindred's bot camps. And if this wasn't a Kindred, by the way, 100% I would do that. But because it's Kindred, I know her next mark will be my Gromp. So I want to get rid of this so I can run out bot side with a clear conscience. And notice how I'm danger pinging Kindred's Gromp, because that's where I think she will be. Again, that's your job as a jungler. Kindred's next mark I know will be my Raptors if I leave them there for a little bit. So I do Krugs first. But honestly, I should probably check Dragon here. There's nothing stopping Kindred from doing Dragon, knowing that I might refarm my top camps after killing her on Grubs, and especially with her prior mid laner and the new Atakan objective system, so I actually should check Dragon. I should just run there, put a box over the wall so we get that confirmation. But thankfully she's not doing it, and I finish clearing my bot camps including the marked Raptors, and then I look to make a play bot side. Now lots of you might have just kept clearing to your walls. This is bad. Staying bot side is good for 3 reasons. I know there is still a chance Kindred is around, waiting to play around her fairly strong Kai'Sa, and if we think about the history of this game, at level 4, Kindred showed up to gank bot lane even though her top camps were up. I'm expecting the same thing here, and that's why I question mark the enemy tribe rush. The second reason for me running here is that I know Leona will be hitting 6 soon, and with that hard CC, it basically guarantees my box landing, and we get easy kills. Even if we don't kill the enemy bot lane, they're going to be so low and have to recall, and my Kalista would get more minions and tower plates. The third reason is that Dragon means more in this patch anyway because of the new objective system. So if Kindred did Dragon at any point here, I would not be happy, but I also wouldn't mind doing it. So I queue into the tribe rush anticipating Kindred being here, but she isn't here. So I then hit this Scry Orb for confirmation, and all of a sudden she appears. So she ran out of base to her red buff and then came back down. Now you might think hitting this Scry Orb is troll. It gives away my position, but if this brush is warded, and there's a high chance it is, they know I'm here anyway. And if Kindred kindred is not here, in other words, kindred is topside, she cannot change the outcome that her bot lane is probably going to die here. So I run at kindred's Gromp, E her, and then Q and W this brush. This is all good, but I should just Q into the brush and wait there. I was a little bit scared of the rel warding and then like engaging onto me with my Q on cooldown, but I can easily survive with my R here, and Leona will get there in time. This is pretty much what happens though. Leona lands her stuff and kindred has to R. Now I think my Kalista uses her E here to try to execute kindred, but Rush gets his R off. This was a big misplay because it's a guaranteed kill. If Kalista holds her rend, GG, right? Rush dies again. But Kalista uses it, so Rush lives on 1 HP after I give him the 2 shiv poison, and the enemy bot lane peels my clone, and the 2 levels up mid laner then comes over, kills my support and mid laner, but my Kalista does get the shutdown, thankfully. Now when this fight ends, I see kindred recalling, so if I don't take this Mark Crab right now, same as level 3, right? She will get it out of base. So I have to make the same move. I run through mid lane and shove the wave. Diana is dead and will miss the wave. And by the way, I would definitely do this move even if it wasn't kindred jungle. I then trinket after shoving the mid wave over this wall in case Rush gets too ahead of himself and decides to invade me, and stay tuned. After Crab, I do my blue buff, and guess what? The Nemesis appears, and yeah, he just dies. And after walls, you can see I'm in 2 minds. I kind of want to clear Raptors before going to Grubs, because if Rush thinks I'm doing Grubs, he will take my bot camp's dragon, and he's also playing near a probably more important bot lane than top lane at this point. I also had a feeling that the Raptors would be the Mart camp, so I was kind of getting baited by Riven being near Grubs here. Not her fault, but sometimes as junglers we might think, oh, my teammate is near the objective, let's go do it, but Riven doesn't ping anything, so I can just play my own game here. What I do next should be game ending, and it kind of is, but this is why micro is just everything in League. And if you want more videos like this, please let me know by leaving a like on the video, and there's also a fresh tier list for this patch on Patreon, along with over 1,200 coaching sessions. That's right. So go check that out. So as I finish Raptors, I know the Rush is not here, right? And because of these wards, I also know he's not on Dragon. And I also know, on top of all of that kindred can sneak the Grubs by doing what? She can just Q over the wall, right? And that's exactly what I think Rush is doing. And guess what? I'm more than happy with this. You can have Grubs. Guess what I'm going to do? Double kill your bot lane, and my Kalista gets plates, minions, and the game, well, it's not over, but it's close to being. That is more consequential than getting 3 Grubs here. So I finish Raptors, and with Kalista's ult, Leona's ult, and my ultimate, I ping on the way. I loop around because I don't want to get seen before a fight happens, because then the fight wouldn't happen. And then I chime in after Leona engages. Now maybe I should go on Kai'Sa here. In fact, I definitely should. I should just smite and E her, and then we can think about Rel. Maybe we can dive her afterwards. But this is obviously still good. And then for whatever reason, I try to dive the Rel and even use my ultimate. I could just take the kindred's whole bot side here, dragon afterwards maybe, and oh my goodness. But because I make an O's play, I die, and it slows me down from completely 1v9ing. I still kind of do, but yeah, GG Rush.
Mate, that Diana.